But the fun part of our work is, at the end of the day, these are still kids and teenagers who are struggling with the day-to-day issues of being kids and teenagers. So we have an opportunity to work with kids frequently on things like, learning, coping with friendships, love, sexuality, conflict with peers and family, issues of identity, the things that kids struggle with every day normally.
Mm-hmm. The usual.
The usual. The tasks of growing up.
Right. So, pick an issue. What would you mentioned a whole array of possible topics we could talk about. What's a common issue that young people have that they're working through?
Well, I think with a lot of the teenagers that I work with, issues of emerging identity and sexuality are pretty common, and often youth indicate that they struggle with, who can they turn to talk to about these things. The evidence suggests that kids first turn to each other. So I think it's really important that we as a community think about how do we empower teenagers to actually be the frontline providers of cutting-edge information, knowledge, skills, so they can impart that to each other, because that's the first place kids go.
So how do these teenagers get informed?
Well, the reality is, in our culture, most kids get informed through the media. The vast majority of knowledge around difficult, sensitive issues comes from celebrities, rock and rap stars, hip-hop artists, followed, I would think, pretty closely by visual artists, and then it's the whole world of marketing and branding. So it's going to be the key brands and marketing notions that are hitting our kids.
Are they getting good information from those sources?
It's a complex area to judge. If I think there's a lot of people who work in media, and certainly there are many celebrities who have good insight into the power they have over popular culture and youth. So I think there's some people who are trying to do it well. I think the more realistic, perhaps a little cynical part of me worries that children and youth are really a captured population. And from a marketing and corporate perspective, you want to do everything possible to drain their pockets and the pockets of their parents. So what sells? Controversy sells, sex sells, drugs sell. So not all the messages from media are bad, but I think some of them are dangerous. And I think parents, teachers, and of course adolescents need to be really cautious over how they interpret information.
Do you see teachers having a role in the lives of young people, educating this way?
Well, I think, in my world, in psychiatry and psychotherapy, what I hear from kids is they have tremendous respect for a very small number of people in their lives. And typically, though, that the respect that they actually give are going to be to their parents and their family members with whom they feel connected, and to the teachers who offer them respect and safety in return. So teachers, for some kids, may be the most important people in their lives. They may make or break the life of a kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a real responsibility.
It is a responsibility. For any of us that work with youth, coaches, nurses, physicians, teachers, we're important people in their lives.
Do you think teachers are prepared for this, to engage young people in their life issues?
Well, John, I usually only hear brilliant stories about teachers. I meet with kids in an environment where they feel safe to talk and to judge and to label and to share their innermost world. And many of the messages I hear from kids about their teachers is very positive. I think there's a lot that the teaching profession should and ought to be very proud of. So I appreciate that education, like any other profession, is under constant scrutiny. In Canada, it's a socialized profession with lots of public accountability. But I hear lots of really good stories. I think the times that I hear stories that worry me, or in some cases horrify me, are pretty rare. But what I also hear, and I speak to teachers all the time, is I hear from teachers a real hunger for new knowledge, for think different skills are ways of engaging with kids. And I think teachers hold themselves to very high standards. So they want to be there for kids. They don't always know how.
Mm-hmm.